Hey, how's it going, guys? Today, we're going to be going over on how I get my levels, the way I look at my levels, the way I play them, and it's just a basic drawdown on what I mean by putting down levels. All my wide levels, those are always my main key pivots. Those are if we hold above this white level right here, the trend, the range is above this white level to the next white level, and so on. And I also smack on red levels around my white key pivots to signify supply and demand in those areas as well. Kind of like in a situation if we were to have a trend day, I'll look at if it's going up and if we're rejecting the supply zone, I'll be looking for the demand zone to continue riding the trend if it lines up with other indicators and so on. But when it comes down to looking at the levels I place down, I usually I like to start looking at the most recent price action we've had around these areas right here. The most recent price action is the what our how our levels are currently moving at. I base my levels based on based upon the a lot of these candles opens. So, um, in this case right here, I would like to see what candle had the last hold of the lowest right there to kind of signify that we got to break below this candle right here to continue going to the upside. Um, the reason I like going over it I like to go over it on the 15 minute. I get all of my confirmations on the 15 minute first, but once I get my levels on the 15 minute, I might switch to the 5 minute. You know, sometimes the 5 minute gives me a little bit of a better level. That's just a few cents away. But I like to get my main confirmations on the 15 minute, but I use the 5 minute and the 15 minute to get all my levels. And if you guys have any questions, just type in the top right part of the chat in the Discord so I can see it. I have my chat pulled up right there. But 650, 675, 60, and the main thing I start looking at when I'm getting these levels right here is I pretty much start looking for a range that we start playing based upon. I kind of like to call it like a range that we kind of ping pong around, play a tennis game around. Ping pong, it doesn't matter. Maybe tennis because the tennis has that front and back court. People can, but I guess it doesn't matter. But because the white levels that I already draw up are gonna be the main back ends of the court, and then once I draw up the red levels, they kind of make my red levels as since if we're in this range right here, the next red level I'm gonna draw over here is gonna be supply. The level I draw below by my 675.60 is gonna be my demand. But give me 1 second. Sometimes if I get a little bit quiet, sometimes it's because I'm looking at every single candle. Gotta look at every single candle, see what makes the most sense. Sometimes it's a little bit harder to get some levels around based off these choppy ranges right here, but I usually like to keep all my white levels usually at around um, $3 separation. So that's what I'm trying to get to around here. Because people say that my levels are a little bit close, but honestly, a $2 move on the stock market, it's gonna most likely gonna give you over 100% on the trade. So I don't think they're too far. They just look too close. I just think they look a little bit close because sometimes I have to zoom in. I mean, zoom out to show you guys a bigger frame of how everything's looking. But okay, I'm gonna smack that level right there. Might move it a little bit down. Sometimes some levels are going to be a little bit more separated than other levels, and that's just pretty much going to show us on how the price action is moving around those ranges. Right here, we have been getting a little bit more chop in these ranges, so I might have to just give my levels a little bit more room. When there's just a little bit more chop in some price ranges, it's just gonna take you guys a little bit longer right there to get the exact level you want. But it just takes me a little bit longer sometimes because I try looking at every single candle, seeing what makes the most sense to me, and base it off the most recent price action. But so far, right here, above 675.60, we get the move back up to 678.90. Below 678.90, it's looking like let me see, yeah, below 678.90, most likely get the move back down to 675.60. Above 678.90, we're looking at around. And then for today's case, we're gonna get all the levels all the way to all-time highs because we don't have too many levels to get to all-time highs. And then I explain to you guys on how we get price targets above all-time highs since we don't have no previous data to base it off around. And then in this case, we're gonna get these levels all the way down to whatever we feel is reasonable. Probably 650, 640s. Full 40. Yeah. Usually for me, I once I draw up levels, I'm usually good on deleting all my levels and redrawing them up to like maybe like 2 to 3 weeks. But it's usually good to redraw them up every once in a while because the price action just keeps giving you guys new levels based off the most recent price action we've had in these ranges. So just by reswitching them, we at least stay up to date on what the most recent price action that it's given us shows us. But after this, we should be good to adjust them out, touch these levels up every night for this upcoming week. And when we touch them up every night, the levels are usually just you. I mean, you guys have seen it. We just touch them up just by a few cents or whatever is needed. Honestly, if we were just really off, then we were really off. But usually just by a few cents. Above 678.90, like in the case we are right now, it's just gonna depend where we open it. I like to push all the way back up to 682.79. Retest this if this most recent high. We start breaking this most recent high. We kind of started making an inverse fair value gap, and in this case, we get the continuation all the way up to. Keep in mind, guys, just because we draw levels, that doesn't mean that this exact thing is gonna happen. But in this case right here, levels just give us a pretty good understanding of what kind of is happening right now in the stock market, and we just gotta use our other data and our other strategies that we do to try to get the whatever way we're trying to play to. But levels just kind of help us this kind of figure out like what way in the what are we doing in these specific ranges. Above 682.79. I just moved my mic a little bit farther away from my mouth, so if you guys have any issues hearing me, just let me know. But above 682.79, I'm liking the push back up to 685.72. 685.70, 685.77, 685.74. I'm gonna scroll back a little bit just to try to see what it was doing over here. Right here, it just looked like it was just straight chop around our key pivot right here. Right, this one's 73, 73. Open 72. Open 76, 76. Alright, over there gets a little bit choppy, so I'm just gonna base it off the most recent price action we've had in this upside area, and I like I like 685.76 because right here we can see we hold below it, stay below it. This one right here opens below. This one right here opens on it as well, stays below it. another open on it, stays below it. Right here a little bit of chop, but we get another close. We get this close above it, and we continue push up. So this is just a case of chop right here, but once we get the close above it, we continue pushing up right here. We got the we got the this was on Monday. We opened right, we gapped up and opened right below it, and pushed back down. Above 685.76, I think these are all-time high levels, so I'm probably gonna have to scoop back to see what's the highest level I have in these up all-time highs, but let's see. $689.60, that's the highest candle opening we've had before getting rejected, so that's gonna be our highest level right there, 689.60. First, we're gonna drop all our white levels, then we're gonna drop all our key pivots. All our key pivots are white levels first, and then we're gonna continue on to our supply and demand levels. But right now, I'm just kind of giving it one last good look before I start scrolling down and get the levels to the downside. Below 675.60. This is an after hours level right here, so I'm just gonna pretty much base it off what it shows us for the jump, just to get the most recent price action that we've had. So 671.30. Now we're gonna scroll back to see where I like that level exactly, because I think I had it beforehand a little bit more down. Below 675.60, we get the move down to 671.05. Notice how these levels right here are a little bit tighter range than some of these levels right here. This pretty much just shows us that the range is a little bit more loosely over here compared to over here. The range is a little bit more tight, unless we gotta get full confirmations to next price targets. Below 671.05, we get the confirmation move down to below 671.05. We get the The next price target's around the 666.56 area. Below 666.56, we get the confirmation down to. Yeah, can you guys hear me? Hey, peace out, Wizard Sleeve. Take care, bro. Can you guys hear me right now, or are you guys having audio issues? I'm good. Okay. Below 666.56, would like to move back down to. I mean, yeah, my bad, guys. There's honestly nothing really too exciting about these levels classes. It's gonna be a little bit. They're a little bit more on the quieter end, just trying to focus on seeing where every single candle opened and closed, and just try to find our next price targets based off the most recent data we've had. But if you guys have any questions at any time, just let me know. 666.56 down to. The 666.56 level, I moved it down to up percent to 57. Just just for this candle right here. 1 cent makes a little bit more sense. My bad. My bad, guys. I'm over here moving my finger every time I let go of it. I'm gonna. Right here looks like a pretty big gap from 666.57 to 666.76. $6 right there. So I'm gonna look for a level to kind of place in between there, just to give me an extra price target to have in between those layers. And if I'm gonna do that, I'm probably just gonna end up having to adjust this level right here a little bit more to the downside, so I can have a little bit more breathing space to add in between there. Don't want to have our levels too tight, but don't want to have our levels too loose either. Rather just have good space in our dollar apart levels, so we can get a good so we can have good space to look at price targets. Below 666.57, we get the move down to 662.62. Yeah, these levels look a little bit tight right here, but honestly, if we just look at it, this kind of just the price range. The price action is showing us around these levels, so just gotta play the levels as what they show us. Because you guys know as well as me, the $2-3 move is gonna pay well on SPY 0 days. It's just right now. It's just look they look really tight because on our screen we got a pretty big screen, so well, they don't look really too tight on my OBS. So it's probably just on my screen thing. Below 655.05, we get 651.43. This 659 level I had over here, I think I'm gonna move it down to 658.61. On the 5 minute, I like it a little bit more on the 5 minute. Just makes a little bit more sense. Same thing right here. We got that 15-minute hold right here. Continued up. The 15-minute. And just by zooming out, you guys will see what I mean. Just kind of, if we hold the level, we kind of stay in the range. Or we hold below that level, we stay below that level's range. We hold above that level, we stay above that level's range. I'm probably gonna get two more key pivots to the downside, and I'm gonna call it a day, right? And I'm gonna call it a day for the key pivots, and we're gonna move on to our supply and demand until we get to all-time highs, and then we'll get our all-time highs price targets. Full ported, it honestly just depends up to you. I usually just draw a good amount to the downside just in case we get like a crazy move to the downside. I can be prepared, or if we start moving to the downside in the week, then I can just have the levels ready. I don't have just in case I'm busy during, because right now it's a Sunday. I have a good amount of time, so I just get them to like where I feel comfortable to the downside. I'm not saying it's gonna happen all the way to down here, but I'll be playing the levels to down here just in case whatever happens happens. But I usually just like I said, I usually like keeping the levels $3 or $4 separated. Like some, if somebody wanted to, they could get the levels all the way down to from 600 all the way down to zero. But I'm just gonna get them down to like the 640s over here. from six. Let me see. So right here between 652.09 and 647.59, I got around $5 free space. I use these levels every day, daily basis. That's why I adjust them every day. After the usually at nighttime at the end each training session, just like to adjust these levels as needed. Below 649.79, and below 649.79, 646.69, based off this most recent hold, open and hold right here. In this case, right here as well. Right here, a little bit of chop, but once we finally start continue to hold below it, continue the downside till we finally break above it and hold right there. In this case right here, we finally got the push above it. We gapped up, continue the push above it to our next key pivot, rejected it, started testing, start pushing down our key pivot zones over here. So now when it comes to supply and demand zones, it's pretty much the same. I get the levels based off the same way as I get the key pivots, just by looking at every single candle open and close. But with the supply and demands, my white levels are always going to be my confirmations, but the supply and demands give me like the full 100% confirmation. If we break above here, we're for sure going to get a test to our next price targets above. In this case right here, sometimes in this case right here, we can see it. We held up our key pivot right here, retested our next key pivot, chopped a little bit, held below, ended up holding below it, got the retest all the way down to our demand zone. This is our full retest. If I was to look to get into a retest, this would be our retest right here, our retest of our demand zone. Always always look for entries as close to as possible to our levels. I like to get them as close as possible to key pivot, but on re-entries and stuff like that, supply and demand zones help us out a lot. 644.87. Let's see. $644.70. Right here we can see we chop between supply and demand zone. I'm probably gonna move this. Probably gonna move this key pivot a little bit down right here. But this one right here, it was just a chop day after we got the push down right here. It was a hard chop inside of the demand zone. We got the close above our demand zone, but right away we got the invalidation when another close inside of our demand zone stayed inside the range. So we got full another confirmation above right here. So, you know, I wanted to continue going up, but next day gap down. But that doesn't matter when it comes to this type of trading. If you guys want to catch up and downs, you guys are gonna have to look at a bigger time frame chart like the hourly, most likely the 4 hour, but hourly, 4 hour, daily. Right here, just a lot of chops. So I'm just gonna try to base it off around the no chop area, or maybe it's gonna help me find it. And this is what I mean by supply and demand zones. So that gives us the full confirmation. In this case right here, we can't get the confirmation above our key pivot right here. So we want to avoid us chopping inside of our supply zone. If we know overall we want to get a price target push to our demand zone down here. Right here we finally got the 15-minute confirmation close, and all the candles stayed below it, and we ended up getting the push all the way down to our demand zone. So that's how I use them. I don't really try overcomplicating them. The most important ones to me are the key pivots. I'm just back in September because if we scroll up over here to the most recent dates, we have no price action these days. So it was just this was just a session of getting levels. You know, I wasn't nothing specifically on the dates or nothing. We were just getting levels, and in this case, we got all the levels in our most recent dates, and now we have to scroll back to these dates to get our levels in these dates over here. No, all good, all good. We were just getting levels all the way down to the downside right here. We already got all the levels that we wanted to the downside. If we had a situation where we just sweep down really hard, we could plan out a class to continue getting levels to the downside. But I feel like we're pretty good right here to 643.78. We don't have to worry about it for a while unless the market started acting crazy. But now that we got all our levels to the downs that we wanted to the downside, we're just gonna pretty much grind our way back to our most recent dates to get all our supply and demand zones, and then we're gonna get all-time high levels. But yeah, like even like this, guys, that's why I like having supply and demand zones as well, because sometimes we might not get the full test of our key pivot right here, based off what the levels are showing us. But the levels sometimes show us that, well, okay, we can still hold up our demand zone. The 15-minute continues holding up our demand zone. We keep bouncing from it right here. So supply and demand zones pretty much just help us get full confirmations sometimes. Right here, we can't get the confirmation close above our key pivot. We get the confirmation close below our supply zone. We ended up getting our test down to our demand zone. right here, guys. In areas like this right here where we have very limited data to get these levels based off of, we just gotta do. We just gotta put down what the best that we just gotta use the data the market's giving us and try to give our best assumption. In this case right here, I'm gonna use this most last recent close. And keep in mind, guys, if you guys see another key pivot that you guys might say, check this, hey, babe, check this one out. You might like it a little bit better. Drop it down, guys. I might, this is a strategy that I've been working on for many years now. That I've been working with many years now. But everybody's human. I might miss something that I can that might work a little bit better than what I'm looking at, and so you guys can just take this strategy as well and work on it yourself as well. I'm gonna put it down to this low right here. Actually, I'm gonna just keep it down right here. 650.47. When I got limited data on the 15 minute, when I got limited data, there's less candles on the 15 minutes, so I kind of just like to go over them on the 5 minute, just to see where I like them a little bit best. So that candle opened up at 30. This one opened up at 30. This one's right here. We rejected off it, continued down, reject them off, reject off time, continue down, hold them up, stay in the range so we can break above it. I moved our key pivot up to 655.11. Makes a little bit more sense on the 5 minute. This one opened up at 655.10. I like that. I like that little adjustment just by a few cents. I think since it's a shorter week tomorrow, Ash, hopefully no, not too much chop, and I'm hoping since it's a shorter week, these moves will be a little bit more straightforward. Hopefully, a little bit more trendish. Especially since it's Christmas. This Christmas is coming up, so hopefully Santa Claus pops up. In either direction, I'll take in either direction. Just hopefully some good price act. We get some good price action. And 14. I look at a lot of these opens a lot. I feel like the opens kind of tell us a little bit more what it's doing. Unless we're getting like a really hard sell off, then some of the opens doesn't matter. It's just gonna be selling off because sometimes we might open above the key pivot, but the sell off is so strong. It's gonna continue it. When it comes to the supply and demand zones, I really don't have like a specific dollar amount on how much I like to keep them separated. It's just depending on the price action we're getting in some of these zones. Okay, we're almost done getting our levels to the upside, and then we're gonna continue on to all-time highs, and from there, I think we should be pretty much ready for the week to play what the week gives us. But I didn't even realize I was already putting these levels over here, so I'm gonna adjust them based off the most recent price action I've had in these ranges. When I scroll over a candle, I'm just pretty much just looking at where exactly that candle opened at. Sometimes Ash, sometimes I use the RSI, but sometimes I use the RSI depending on if we get a big gap up or gap down. Other than that, I really don't use it unless I'm trying to. The only time I really use it is when I'm trying to catch the reversal on a big trend after we got a really big trend move. So I'm looking at the RSI on an oversold or overbought move that aligns well with our EMAs. The MACD, I haven't really used the MACD in a really long time. I used to use it a little bit, but it's not. I wouldn't say like I became a professional or nothing on this to really give it my best input if I like it or not. But I know a lot of great traders that use the MACD. I never really use it that much. Give me one sec, guys. My headset keeps dying. Let me just connect it up. It was good, my boy Nicola. How you doing, bro? Yeah, how's it going, Megatsu? How you doing, brother? Yes, sir. Let's get ready for the turn the week right. Bro, I'm like, what am I doing? I'm over here on the 158-minute chart. Oh my god, bro. I'm cooked. My bad. My bad, guys. I'm like, what, bro? This chart looks different than the chart I was just looking at. Now it makes me wonder how long was I looking at that time frame for? I just Magnitude. I just buy my contracts based around like if we're we're around the 681, 682 range. I know 685, 684s are gonna be pretty cheap, and those are my next price targets. So I just base it off around that because if we were to start getting good push into and confirmations above our level to get our next levels into getting close to in the money, our contracts just move really well at that point. The 685 key pivot, I moved it to 685.90. I usually look at the. I don't really look at the wicks that much. Because the wicks just are a little bit crazy. I usually look at the candles opens mostly. Sometimes I look at the wicks if it's chopping and stuff like that because sometimes those wicks give us a retest and a rejection of some of our levels, you know. But other than that, I look at the opens majority of the time. Alright, and let me see. Let me just compare the last these upper ranges to the last. areas that we headed to. Right there, we hold below supply zone, stay below supply zone. Alright, guys. Well, we got our levels from. We reset all our levels and just drew them up all again. So these are going to be the main levels I'm going to be looking at this week on the 15-minute time frame. Continuation of each Y level. I'm going to be looking at supply to keep pivot on the, or demand to keep pivot on the break of either side. But other than that, right here looks like I like these adjustments for next week. I'm just gonna review them one more time before I 100% give them my confirmation. Yeah, this is just the hardest part about drawing the levels right here, guys. It's just if you guys are gonna reset them, it takes a good how long have we been recording already? We've been recording over an hour already, so it just takes one good sitting down session of pretty much the silence of just drawing up your levels however they need to go, and then for the rest of the week it's like a quick 10 to 30 minute session depending on how long you want to take on your levels, or just adjusting them by a few cents. Keep in mind, if you guys have any questions about how I drew any of these levels up, just let me know. For now, I think these levels are looking good. I think I'm gonna be using these levels for this upcoming week. If you guys haven't finished drawing them up yet, you guys can. I'm gonna drop them in the chart analysis section. You guys can use them up from there, or let me know if you guys have any questions as well. So based off the intraday and the hourly chart, I'll pretty much be watching this EMA on the hourly. If we can continue writing the EMA on the hourly, the chart is pretty much telling us, the hourly is pretty much telling us 685.72. So hopefully some good price action. It's just gonna depend on where we open at, obviously, but hopefully some good price action shows up tomorrow. But I'm gonna finish this recording. This is it of this part of the process. Quick and easy. It wasn't that quick, but easy adjustment of levels. It just takes a lot of time, but gotta look at this as a job. You guys want to put in the time every single time to get the exact levels that you guys want to get to. All right, but I appreciate you guys joining in. Thank you.